She helped a homeless person. Minutes later, the police arrived. Emma never imagined that a simple action could change the course of that night. You're there, walking through the cold city streets, the wind cutting across your face, when suddenly something catches your attention. A figure curled up in a corner, eyes that seem to carry all the pain in the world. What would you do if it were you? Help or keep walking? This is a story about choice, humanity, and the unexpected. The night was already heavy, with the distant sounds of cars and hurried footsteps. Emma was heading home after a long day at work, tired but with a heart that always tried to be generous. Halfway there, she spotted a man sitting on the ground, worn clothes, a face that said more than words ever could. Something in that look squeezed her chest, and she decided to act. She approached slowly, trying not to scare him. "Hi, it's cold. Do you want some help?" Her voice came out shy but sincere. He lifted his head slowly, surprised by the kindness. "Thank you," he replied with a fragile smile. That moment seemed frozen in time, a silent connection between two people who for an instant shared a flicker of hope. Emma took off her coat and offered it, while reaching for something to warm him. She pulled a sandwich from her bag. A simple gesture, but full of meaning. "Eat, it'll help," she said with a gentle smile. He accepted, his eyes shining brighter than before, as if that small act of kindness was a light in the middle of the darkness. Something was changing there. As they talked, he shared fragments of his life, the struggles, the loneliness that brought him there. Each word an open wound, but also an invitation to understand beyond appearances. She listened, feeling the weight of a reality few were willing to face. The night felt less cold, the city more human. Suddenly, a strange sound cut through the silence, sirens in the distance. She looked around, uneasy, unsure of what to expect. The man shrank back, scared, and she tried to calm him, but the noise grew closer, more urgent. What came next would change everything. The help she offered now seemed a risk, a gamble on the unknown. The minutes dragged on, the sound of the police rushing closer. Her heart pounded fast, without quite understanding why. Why the police? What would happen to the man who had just trusted her? The tension grew, mixing fear and hope in a knot hard to untangle. When the officers arrived, everything changed in an instant. They weren't just police, they were part of a bigger story, with secrets no one expected. Emma stood still, watching the scene unfold, unsure whether to intervene or just watch. The unexpected was about to be revealed. The man who seemed like just any homeless person revealed something no one could have predicted. A document, an identity, pointing to an injustice, a hidden truth. The police, who seemed threatening, actually brought answers and justice to that story. The surprise turned into understanding. Emma realized that small, simple gesture had set off a chain of events no one could control. What began as an act of kindness ended with renewed hope, a chance for a fresh start for someone many had forgotten. And you? What would you do if you were there? Emma was still trying to understand what had just happened while the police talked with the man. He wasn't just any homeless person, but someone with a story no one knew. She felt a mix of relief and curiosity growing inside her, as if something much bigger was unfolding right there on that street. The officers, with respect and caution, explained that he was being protected because he had witnessed something important, something that put his life at risk. Emma stayed silent, absorbing the gravity of the situation, realizing that her simple gesture had touched a hidden truth behind the appearances. The man looked at her, his eyes still full of gratitude and a renewed spark. "Thank you for not turning your back," he said quietly. That sentence resonated deeply in her heart. It was more than physical help. It was an act of recognition, a humanity he needed to carry on. While the police handled the details,
She felt a tightness in her chest, realizing how many people live invisible, carrying heavy stories, waiting for a gesture of attention, even a small one. The cold night seemed less harsh in the face of that silent reflection. She stepped closer to offer something more, maybe a kind word, a gesture of comfort. The man smiled, weak but sincere. "You gave me hope," he said. In that moment, Emma understood that empathy can be a bridge capable of saving lives and rekindling lost dreams. The officers explained he would be taken to a safe place, away from the danger he faced. A shelter, yes, but also a chance to start over, to rebuild what seemed destroyed. Emma felt a mix of relief and hope growing inside her, as if that encounter had given new meaning to her own life. As the police took the man away, she stood still, staring into the emptiness of the now quiet street. The car lights faded into the distance, but the feeling that something important had happened wouldn't leave her. It was as if that night had shown her a side of life she had never seen so close before. The city seemed to have regained a bit of its humanity right there, in that moment. Kindness, even if shy, had been the spark that lit a light in the darkness. She knew that moment would be forever marked in her memory, a reminder that every small act can change realities. She turned to continue her way home, but something inside her had already changed forever. And as the city streets filled with distant sounds, a clear thought grew inside her. Never underestimate the power of helping those who seem invisible. Life can surprise you when you least expect it.
On that walk back home, Emma felt a strange peace, as if she had done something greater than she ever imagined. The city, once cold and impersonal, now seemed to pulse with a different energy, more human and full of possibilities. She knew that night would forever be etched in her soul. The man she helped wasn't just any stranger. He was a person with a story, a struggle, a life that deserved to be heard. That small action had broken the invisible cycle of abandonment and despair that often surrounds those living on the streets. It was a silent but powerful victory. Days later, she received an unexpected message. It was from him. Those few words carried hope and gratitude. "You saved more than I realized. Thank you for seeing me when no one else did." The impact of that message was so strong that she felt her heart fill with emotion and meaning. She realized that true help goes beyond the material. It's about presence, about looking someone in the eye and recognizing their dignity. In that moment, her life changed too, because she had become a bridge to transform the world around her, starting with what seemed insignificant. The police, who had seemed threatening at first, showed that justice and protection exist, even when we least expect it. The man was now safe, with a real chance to start over, thanks to a chain of events sparked by a simple act of compassion. This story isn't just about him or her, but about all of us, about how a small act can trigger deep and unexpected changes, about how, amid indifference, kindness can still bloom and create new paths of hope. What if each of us decided to act that way, with a little more empathy and courage? What stories could we build? What lives could we touch? That question lingers in the air, ready to awaken the best in anyone who watches. Now, if this story touched you, please leave a like. Share to spread this message of humanity, and subscribe for more stories that show the transforming power of empathy. Together, we can make a difference. Because in the end, real change begins with a simple gesture. And are you ready to do your part?